Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to see you. Let's step into the miraculous today, and we're going to be talking about your galactic origins, temples of light, raising our vibrational frequency so we can walk with the masters and more in just a couple of minutes. But meanwhile, if you are new to my channel, new to me, or you've been around before, I'm so happy to see you. I am Joan of Angels. I'm an intuitive guide. I am a channel for the angelic realms, and I am a soul mastery coach specialist. In other words, I help you remember who you are and why you're here. So please like, subscribe, and share this content so we can actually raise the vibration around the entire planet. And visit me at my website, joanofangels.com, where you can pick up your free ebook and you can find out how to have some amazing sessions with me. So that's all about me. And we'll get ready to meet our fantastic guest. I want to tell you a bit about her right now. Dr. Celestine Star. She has really been called a woman of divine grace. She possesses, lifetimes of wisdom and knowledge. She's an experiencer with the Star Nation tribes, ultra terrestrials, and celestial beings. She's been in contact with the celestial beings since her death experience when she was 6 years old. She's also the founder of the Galactic Earth Council and offers Skywatch events for all of us. And she's just one of the wisest women that I happen to know. So everyone, just meet Dr. Celestine Star. So welcome to the show, beautiful one.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be with you here. Just so excited and honored. Yes.
Well, I don't know about the honored part because I was tuning in when I was just tuning in and writing out your just your links, and I was thinking about you. I feel like I have known you forever. It is quite a unique feeling. I get past life flashes with a lot of people, but this is almost a sense of somehow we went on stage together, we were teaching together. It was a whole different sense. So anyway, greetings to you, beloved one. Why don't you give us all a little bit of background about how you got to be this amazing star being?
Well, let's start with the day of my birth. I was birthed into this beautiful earth field on Christmas Eve, so December 24th. And my name, which is Celestine, kind of accents that time. So I grew up really understanding the way of giving. It's the time of opening the heart. You've got the winter solstice with the Pleiades giving love. So there was a lot of singing, cheer, family. And then, of course, the return of the light and the Christos and the stories and the mythos of Mother Mary and such. So the celestial heavens was always something I kind of grew into, accepting that I chose to come in as a celestial being. And during my family was very metaphysical. So during my childhood, I was raised as in the mystery school. So I understood that there weren't too many places on the planet that had the mystery school. And for my work that I'm doing today, I absolutely had to go through arcane magic with a K. I had to understand Hermeticism, alchemy, the esoteric sciences. So by the time I was 15, I had been prepared to become a priestess in a most extraordinary, very worldwide cult, you might call it. And it wasn't necessarily one of those user friendly. I really went through a lot of times where I was on my own, and I realized that I was absolutely of the light. There was no changing that. And I had made a promise that I would learn everything I could so I could use it for humanity. So that was my beginnings. And then the near-death experience, going through the light, the reading of the life, two extraordinary blue beings with me. So I didn't have, between the metaphysics, which is the interactive with nature, I didn't have that concept that we are alone, that we are only humans. I understood about multi-dimensional beings, multi-universes, astral planes, planes above that. So here I am in this death experience, two blue beings come to me, which are with me today, and they guide me through the heavenly realms. And I ended up in what I call the God head. I was literally immersed with the incredible intelligence of all that is sourcial. And that has been with me and has integrated into my being. I carry that with me and the wisdom of that. And I was shown what I was to do in return. Of course, no, 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 did not want to return, but I am here. And, so I have always walked this earth as a mystic, even though I tie my camel. I'm a businesswoman, you tie, so the healing practices came forth for me, optician, and also I did a neurosensory development. I was in quantum physics early, in my 20s, doing laser technologies with Dr. Downing and helping people to balance their intracranial, their hypothalamus, and doing all these things to help people with their neurological workings in my 20s. But that moved me towards being the calling. I eventually had a calling to go to the high mountains, and I took that calling. And one never knows what spirit has planned. And as I did this calling, um, I established the Temple of Light, and I opened up the medicine wheel. At the time of 6, we were in New Mexico, and so I was really opening up to my Native American heritage, powwows, ceremonies, and I was taken under the wing of Ruby Sky, who taught me. She was Arapaho, and she taught me the medicine wheel. And so I opened the Temple of Light, which is my own spiritual practice. It was not from the magic old times, but 20 years of research, studying comparative religion, getting my doctorates, and I opened it also to heal myself. So I wandered through the forests and I met immortals. And I became the yogini of the forest, and many people came to me for lessons, and we did powwows and ceremonies, and it became, 15 years trance channeling, all these things open. I guess this was the 80s, and I opened the Temple of Light in 86, interdimensional light surfacings, helping people to understand, like you, Joan, helping them to understand who they are. I was processing all my internal pain and suffering. Everyone was really awakening, harmonic conversion, of course. And so those were some of my best years. I became almost a breatharian. I was pretty close. And when you get yourself in a higher state of being, the immortals appear. Of course, I was guided to the land of the extraterrestrials. And so
And where was
eventually,
that?
that was up in the Mayakama Mountains up above Calistoga. And I spent,
Okay.
that was the place where,
That's where I saw ships with those goggles. There was a guy up there who was doing these sky watches, and I did see a lot of ships
excellent.
up there.
Yeah, so what I learned from walking in the Miwok Pomo Indian Vision Quest land is that's where they live. They never left. And they did go underground 10,500 years ago, approximate. But where I walked was a beautiful archaeological site. I was following the ley lines because I spent time in England. I was there for about 8 years of my life. And I studied the ley lines. Stonehenge was my backyard, so I went to go play in Stonehenge all the time. And I learned how to follow the electromagnetic lines, the power lines. Same with the Native American; they speak to you about the earth lines, and so following that, I came into megalith situations that had been stone builders, fallen pyramids, the whole bit. I was like, oh, this is. And so they became, my family, the Star Nation. I had always loved the Star Nation, and they loved me. And they began to teach me, take me into other dimensions, into the council room, and my life became immersed with them. And then the day came where they said, you must go down the mountain and teach and be with the people. So I'm here now. I've been teaching and writing books and taking people on sky watches, and I think that's about it right now.
That's a nice life, Dr. Celestine.
Not bad.
It's a nice unfoldment. And so you kind of mentioned, and it was very quickly, that you came out of a cult. Was that a cult religion in a sense, or cult teachings that you would describe it? I don't want to, just out of
Um,
curiosity.
Out of curiosity, there is on this planet certain masterful beings who have studied the metaphysical arts. That means the integrations of uh, the supreme forces,
Mm-hmm.
multidimensional, other
Right.
entities. They have developed themselves to a level that most of their workings are done in the inner planes. So they could open up a portal and you can walk through, and they would meet each other on that plane. It wasn't always about, sex magic or sacrifice. These are nominal things that I witnessed and experienced within myself as I was born as a child. And so, therefore, I was utilized in that way. But I grew to understand out of body, other
Mm-hmm.
dimensions, and
Mm-hmm.
their power grew. You could feel that there was no place that you could go that they would not know where you were.
Mm-hmm.
They're very powerful. They still reign upon the earth, and they have thousands of years of doing their work. And I felt the coming together of conscious human beings of a celestial nature maybe began in the early 70s. Maybe the
Mm-hmm.
60s was more the awakening, summer of love. You know, we came out of the chemical age of being fed DDT and all of this, the atomic, and into the age of more peace and love. And then it got serious. The people came and said, let's change the earth. And so that's what I would say.
Wow. Okay. Well, and that's really true. Those people, those beings, have been on the planet for thousands of years underground in a certain way,
Yeah, it's
underground
hidden.
energies, and and we haven't really been that privy to them. So it's part of the mysteries too. And some people like you are maybe more adept at, I think, understanding those energies.
I made it my mission and I learned many, many things. And, the new age, even though the heart is there, their understanding of the basics of the universal principles and how they function um, is still the growth. And this is what they say ascension. So we have many, many teachers and practitioners such as yourself, Joan, and helping people to go through the process of getting in touch with your divinity. You see, so if you are of the magical um, developments, you already have an empowerment of knowing the I am. You're taught at very young age, or as part of your lessons. But and so as we come into that place of the I am that I am, then we can begin to recognize that we are creating our life and that we have a relationship with the creation and we're here to manifest. So I'm excited at this time and age because I started recognizing at harmonic conversion, that was really the kickoff, maybe 20,000
Mhm.
people, um, 20, 30,000 people around the world during that time. I
That's
don't
it.
think there's people doing Taoism and their own meditations and Buddhism and this and that, but it wasn't a joined, integrative consciousness. This was harmonic conversion was the first where it was worldwide, right? And so now we have this unify that brings people. 5 million people came together last year, and I think
Right?
there was even more that came this year. So we have offices everywhere now, and people are joined together. If a call goes out, people come and answer the call. And so it's just that level of what do we how do how do you utilize your ability to create the earth in unison? and not just an envisioning that this will happen in the future, but
Mhm.
really make it so.
To make it so, and so it is. So, what would you say from messages would you say then for us now of what is going on, the light consciousness, the ascension consciousness, and what are people looking at now? What kinds of things are your galactics sharing with you?
Thank you for asking. That's a very good question. First of all, there is ascension and there's awakening. So the ascension consciousness is one where they're kind of going through these different dimensions, right? And most, I would say, really don't have a grasp of what these dimensional fields really are. For instance, the fourth dimension, as you would say, is an abstract dimension of time and space, color, time, things that are abstract, and this is just to give it kind of a category, but things, all dimensions are one on top of the other, and they're based on frequency, you see. So if we were looking at the Schumann resonance and we were saying 7.83 hertz, that it would be a frequency that Earth maintains because the solar rays and the cosmic rays hit the Earth, and it
Mhm.
rings like a bell. And so Schumann was one of the scientists who discovered this and clocked it. But of recent, the Earth has began to resonate at a higher frequency. So I've been taken out several times, and from afar, you see these dimensions. You could see these wave patterns, frequencies, and you could see the overlay of one dimension to the other. So we look at the Schumann resonance, and it goes up to 300 hertz. It goes up to 1,000. So we're modulating above the 7.83, and so we've kind of left that 7.83 frequency behind. Okay.
Aha.
So
Okay.
you
So
could
so there
call
is
it
a shift.
the
You
shift has already happened, and
Mhm.
many talk about um, if we looked at the horizon as the Milky Way, the Shishita, and the
Mhm.
middle of the Milky Way has the black hole where it pulses. And so Earth was coming from the bottom, and it hit the hole. It hit the center. It takes 20 years to go across that black rift, the black hole, and they didn't know if it was going to pulse or not. You've seen uh, co- uh, um, galaxies where they have this photonic light, photons coming up and from the bottom and the top. So as we cross that barrier and we hit that point, I think it was 2012, it took 20 years to get across there. And then we made our way up to the top of the Milky Way. So I think that was the 290,000 year cycle that the Mayans had clocked in to go up because we do an ecliptic and we come
Mhm.
down. So as we hit the top of the Milky Way, that's when the frequencies started shifting because we're taking in much more cosmic light, much more cosmic energy, and the solar energies started shifting. So when you have a higher frequency, what happens is the whole body and being, every plant living, everything that's living on this planet begins to take on more light, more energy. And so our brains are starting to function in a different way. We're having right and left brain functionality simultaneously. People are more into it. People's bodies are reacting to having more energy. And so this is what we'd call the awakening, because all of a sudden their right brain is awakening. It wasn't so much I have purposefully ascended into uh, the fifth or the seventh or the eighth dimension. You see, if I'm ascending, I can actually vibrate my body to a certain frequency, and I could find myself in another dimensional field. Okay, that would be someone who could control the frequency levels. But just in our natural state, we're already uh, moving into higher frequencies. This is why we're seeing celestial beings more often, seeing the spaceships. We are in their living room, and they no longer have to cloak We destroyed our shield way back when I was 7 and standing in New Mexico. They sent off atomic bombs together. It was like really high impact. I think
Mhm.
they tilted
Mhm.
the world 17 degrees. And they ripped a hole in the sky, and we saw the matrix. We saw the black sky. And the Native Americans and anybody who knows about this, please get in touch with me. I've been
Oh my
really,
God, wait, they ripped the matrix, that
yeah,
whole thing that covers the planet
yeah. That what happened
from
is
the nuclear weapons.
you saw it was atomic at that time. I think they set off quite a few at the same time. A line in the sky. It was like a wovering, wobbling line, haze, and one side was extremely black, and the other side was sky. And this lasted
So
for days.
interesting. If they rip off that covering above, we would just see, we'd have no blue. We'd just see,
You just have black.
we would just have black
There was
above.
no movement, no clouds. I saw it. Everybody saw it. The Native Americans did powwow. They did the ghost dance for the first time since 1839 or something, where they were
Whoa.
banned, and they were upset because they tilted the earth 18 degrees. They couldn't call their guides anymore the same. So lots went on during that time. And I was
Mhm.
just very, very observant. But I
Mhm.
realized that right after that is when these huge ships came in. And that was my first contact with the total, all of our family. But we'd be driving along and on these freeways, and then the cars would all stop, and the ship would go by, miles long, huge, and they would go by. The cars would start up, and we just keep going. Oh, that must be a government thing, but really, they had come in to see what in the world are these people doing. They
Right.
have broke the shield of 10,500 years in which we were and somewhat protected, so that we could grow and become ourselves without interfering so much. We broke that, and we're feeding our kids DDT and opiates and different things. I call it the age of the children of the chemical age. And they
Right.
kept saying, "Why aren't you normal?" Well, here, have some more cocaine and opiates, right? We're drinking Coca-Cola. Like, hello.
Right.
Um, yeah. So anyway, so I would say that from those days, we have been slowly awakening. I like the word
Mhm.
awakening much better, and the frequencies are so high now that this is it. Everybody's back for the same round. Are we
Right.
going to bring the planet
Right.
through, or are we going to go ahead and make another big disaster?
Well, first of all, you said some very positive things. We went from 20,000 souls that showed up for the harmonic convergence 10
Yes,
years ago or 11 years ago. And now we have millions of people that are showing up on mass
yeah,
meditation events all the time. So, that in itself, if you believe in the 100th monkey theory, then we've surpassed that, which
yes,
is good news. You also said something that really, and I don't want to get stuck on it, but I have been very much stuck on this concept of what is really out there and what is covering the earth. And so you just dropped that on me, and it's like, oh my God. So that's a whole exploration too. Do you feel that Earth has been like a prison planet, that there's been, and you mentioned 10,000 years, there's been this covering around the Earth? Do you want to mention that a little bit more?
sure. I have recovered pretty much all my memories. I know why I'm here. When I came back from my death experience, I was, fully on. You say 12 strands of DNA. I was fully engaged and had understandings. And what I saw, what I've learned through processing people individually, taking them back to the first time they come to Earth.
Right.
Why are they here? Where did they come from? So I've done over thousands. I have done thousands
So
of
you do
people.
regressions also for
It's
people.
called the Galactic Origins, and it's a
That's how,
system that
okay.
was developed by the High Spiritual Council, because in taking
Mhm.
people out to Skywatch and they're just looky-loo, or they don't know, but if you take them back to where they came from, they recognize who they are. So when they're looking at their brothers and sisters, the star can, it makes sense. So they gave me 10,500 years, basically, 12,000 years ago became the troubles. I would call it the trouble, things that were the reverse consciousness had taken such a hold on the planet. It had to be dealt with, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's similar to what's happening today. There's an infiltration of reverse consciousness. And what that looks like is that you live in a lower frequency, which is me, I have to control everything, right?
Mhm.
So, but up until that time, the human, we are those who are incarnated in a human form resonate the frequency of Earth for the whole Milky Way. So we are here to resonate, to spiritualize, and to illuminate this planet in the highest resonant field of Earth. We represent Earth, right? So other beings would come from other places. There was a period when this was Earth was a place of education and wisdom, and I think that those traces are still with us. They brought plants and animals, and it was just they made it the garden. And but then it became difficult. So what they did, the and I'm going to say the sourcial creation creator, expressing everything within this moment in time and space, working through the prima ultras. These are very high beings who would
Mhm.
who watch over large swaths of creation, right? Right hand to the sourcial intelligence, right? Step up to one of those and you're going to know what's going on. And then it drops down into other forms of intelligence. So, working together, because Earth was conceived as a grouping, the solar system, and as a part of the Milky Way, they call us the children of the Milky Way. So, we're not just Earth, we're woven into the whole of the Milky Way. So with all the troubles on other planets, such as Mars blowing out their atmosphere, the reverse consciousness began to take hold and have an effect. Genetic engineering, what you're seeing right now with fooling around with people's DNA, things like that. This is all reverse consciousness, right? So they made a decision. A decision was decreed to create a barrier. The barrier is a very thin veil. And this happened 10,500 years ago. So those who wanted to come to Earth for resources, and this is what I was told by Meso, keeper of the books of the Seventh Council. I've been
Mhm.
before Tanador, who's the commander of the Galactic Star Federation and a high spiritual council. I wrote they gave me a lot of information, which is in the book, The Galactic Earth Council, Reintegration of Star, Earthkin, and Starkin. So you have this barrier, this veil that was placed, and there was a decree that anyone entering would pass through and kind of say, let's check them. Like, what are you doing here? What do you need on Earth? It wasn't like a control thing, but you have to understand that the reverse ones got into the stargates and caused magnetic fields to reverse, and even the reversal of the earth fields, lots of trouble to
Mhm.
correct. And so the flooding happened and the destructions of different things until they had to come in and just kind of clamp down on that. So there was a new beginning, and
Mhm.
not everything was caveman or cave girl. There was a new beginning for the embodiment of the biological unit of Earth people, and so venturing out to learn things and be taught, but always there was the divine ones guiding. Always you could go to the waters and drink and receive the message. You could receive the message from the sun. And this is the ingraining of the indigenous people. They carry the original wisdom of how to connect back to that intelligence. They never left us, but we were given more space to experience the earth as our earth. And for the objective of us to become strong enough to say we are one grouping of humanoids in many different forms, many different purposes, and each one has an expression of creation to be respected as that. And so over the years, if you really had a desire to understand or go back to your star grouping or whatever, the gateway was always open through shamanic messages. Were built. Temples were built.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was always a way to go. Um, they would appear to you. This is the stories of Mother Mary and the angels, and the oracle sisters who had the high siddhas of being able to transform their bodies and have children without inception of a male. So
Mm-hmm.
all these things were still happening. It just was, for example, the Galactic Star Federation that is up in the high mountains of the Mayakama Mountains, they just made themselves invisible. But there I was, I raised my frequency,
Mm-hmm.
and they came right out. I sat in the woods in meditation, and and my frequency was raised to such a limit, and I purified myself. I was one little wrap,
Right.
little cloth. And all of a sudden, Tai Li Po appears, Yesi Sojo, Babaji, they can come to you and be with you because you're at a resonant field of beingness and mind that you can be with them. And they're like your family. They love us.
That's amazing. Do you teach people how to do that? How to resonate at those frequencies so you can connect with these higher beings?
Only if they ask. I'm not into the mystery school thing. I do have students. I have students, but people come to ask me, and I take them. Wherever you are is where we begin. And I did many years, probably about 30, 40 years of trauma, stress and pain management, did physical hands-on, open spas, did all this business,
Mm-hmm.
these healing modalities, therapeutic healing. And those times are basically over. What I'm working with is people who are ready to, who have awakened to their celestial divinity or are ready, right at that point. So we go straight in and we open it up, and then I work with them on whatever metaphysic, wherever you go, I can go, you know. And if we do have to clean up and polish your mirror a little bit, we can do that too, but it's more fun for me because I'm in that place in my life where I'm looking at my own enlightenment, my final walk.
Got it. So you're taking people during sessions, private sessions, to sort of on their own personal journey of mastery and spiritual evolution.
Yeah, and I do teach. I do workshops. We've been together at workshops and gatherings. So
And you do teach, yes. You have a
sometimes.
wonderful energy. And I actually remember running into you at Ojai once and being reintroduced to you. I actually
Ah,
remember that very vividly in my mind. It was like, who is that woman? And it was you. And that's coming back to me. And you had a whole group of people with you, I think, at
yeah.
one
There was a group of us passing through there.
amazing
Yeah.
teacher that you are. Now I know that you have you're a temple of light, right?
Yeah.
Tell us things that we can do to engage with you or that you're engaged in.
Yeah, so this is the month of the December, right? We're moving first day. So, this is the time of the celestials, again, moving towards that winter solstice. So, if you would like to engage us, we're doing a group of physical winter solstice gathering with a beautiful divine uh, who is producing Daniel Lapin and Christy Michaels. I don't know if you know them, but anyway, so we're
Tell me
gathering
everyone again, because you went in and out for a minute. Who's in?
Christy Michaels and Daniel Lapin.
I know Daniel Lappin. That name sounds
You
really
know
familiar.
Daniel, yeah,
And this is on the 18th of December in Marin
yeah.
County. And as I said, if my daughter and I go up the day before, I would love to be a part of that
Love
event.
that. Let me know
That
because It's going to be about bringing your prayers and your singing. We're going to integrate the invocation of Mother Mary, who,
Oh my goodness.
she really is a guide to all of us in, we know that she is my sister Isis, right? Isis, Mother Mary was her last incarnation. She's one of the few star beings who has permission on Earth to integrate with humanity, right? Interface and connect with us. So we're going to invoke her to come in, and everyone there will light a candle representing their own Christ light.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know the return of the light, which has been, since Neolithic times, honoring that the earth, which she tilts backwards, Gaia, Mother Gaia, she opens her heart to the sun. But if she doesn't bring herself back forward again, then the earth will keep going, right? So it was important that somebody, a shaman or somebody of awareness, recognize that time.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is why it's important
That she comes back upright.
that, her heart is open and her prayer is, and she comes back, and then she tilts her crown, and that begins the spring. Yeah, right. So, spring equinox, she stands straight, and then summer solstice, her crown is to the sun. So these natural occurrences are very important. So we're going to honor that, the Christmas lights, which is really the return of the light. Thank Goddess, we're going to live another year.
Thank God. Okay. Whoa.
And we sang. Yeah, hold on.
Like Groundhog's Day. Okay, we're going to live another year. The light is going to shine.
But
and
what's different is we are the return.
We are
the return of the light, in that we're going to open ourselves through meditation and bowls, singing, prayer. And as we open to our own divinity, what happens, Joan? What happens?
Right. Well, we are just filled with the light, and it spreads from us and lights up everyone around us.
And we can envision our world. It clarifies reverse consciousness.
Right.
It purifies the mind. It heals. It brings peace, forgiveness. So each person who is there, it's limited to 50, by the way. So register now. We're going to put it out.
And is there a link for people? Where do they go to register?
Let's see. If they sign up at galacticearthcouncil.com, you could sign up for the newsletter.
Galactic
and just put in there
council.com. Okay.
Right. And just put Return of the Light code. Then I'll make sure that you get the newsletter with not only this interview in it, but also an invitation to register and come to our event.
Of which is possible that I might be there if I get up there early. Let's put that up again. Okay, guys. So register at the galacticearthcouncil.com and put a comment that it's the return of the light, and you'll find out everything you need to know from Dr. Celestine Star. There's so many things you can talk about, but I just want to kind of, the experience of talking with you is very, very profound, because you have such an array of knowledge that's sort of from both the earth and the heavens simultaneously. And that's the experience of speaking with you that I have. So you have a lot to share. Is there anything else you want everyone to know? Because this has been very fascinating, Celestine.
Yes. I would like to speak on behalf of the High Spiritual Council, if I may.
Yes, go for it.
Okay. I'm going to say it in my Syrian language first. Just a little greeting, glory in the light of the radiant one, and that connects me with them, so they know that I'm honoring their work. So, Kereska te pera na beras na keresta te je na beratama ashkana tutita maishkana te be shanura the bakara. Glory in the light of the radiant one. Glory in the light of the Radiant One. Glory in the light of the Radiant One. On behalf of the High Spiritual Council, we give the blessings of Earth. There are angelic beings, celestial beings, illuminated beings who are the healers of the cosmos. Our Earth has been infiltrated with reverse consciousness, those who would take away the health and the dignity, the integrity of the intelligence of our human structural being. We are not alone, but we can give permission to the highest frequency of love, light, truth, harmony, balance in a healing way. They are prepared to step in. What does that look like? The biological unit can be healed with certain frequencies. My intention is to give to humanity some of the healing frequencies I experienced when I went through a very serious illness recently. I've been given permission to pass certain illuminated frequencies to humanity to utilize as we need. But they're calling forth those humans who would like to offer land or have a vision of it to develop a spiritual place where people can go for healing. And their intention is to create an integrative healing process on the planet that bypasses medical need, what do we say? Approved of by the medical association. One that comes in straight in from the social consciousness. So get ready, because it is here. And I'm going to say this. This is the first time it's probably been spoken on Earth. They want all of us to be aware. The image is gold and silver in crystalline embedded in the earth. Gems of emerald and aquamarine and things that are embedded deep in the earth. The rivers flow and they go down into the earth. They touch the gold, they touch the silver. The water takes on through its own electromagnetic embodiment, and it is lifted up by the sun into the sky. Our atmosphere has always had a certain amount of silver, antiviral, antibacterial, helps with the balancing, certain amount of gold, harmonizing, awakening, all of the gemstones, all of the minerals. And so this is the image that they give us. Leave the gold and the silver in the earth. We do not have a functioning way of bringing these particles into our atmosphere. We are seeing, and they're calling on scientists and researchers to study this. How do you think that certain planets' atmospheres no longer sustain the life force? And then they come to Earth for the gold to take back and integrate back into the atmosphere. So they're showing all of this churning up of gold and silver and precious metals like what you have in your hand. And in doing so, the waters can't touch it. It cannot bring the healing powers into the atmosphere. So they give this to you from the deepest heart of creation and give you something to think about, that they are real, that they're coming here to give us understandings, basic understandings of how to care for our planet, which is a part of a whole solar system and a Sheshata Milky Way. And so I end with the Kiraskana Perata este Shir Nama Akanaza. Stand as one. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, I'm really blown away, Celestine. but I'm really blown away by the power and the sense of authority of the really ancient authority that comes through you.
Thank
It's our
you.
first one-on-one, and I can just feel it. And so I'm just touched and honored that you're even on our show with us today. You have so much wisdom to share here with all of us. It's just outstanding. So, okay, so people can work with you. They can find you. They can go to the Galactic Earth Council and register for your upcoming event. They can
Mhm.
go to your website, Celestine Star, to connect with you or to work with you to as a spiritual guide.
Yep, they can sign up at Galactic Earth Council. You can actually schedule a galactic origin to find out where you came from, why you're here, your contracts, all of that. Or you can do celestial activation. So, yeah, that's where you
Both of them
schedule.
honestly sound amazing. I know you gave us a little activation right there. And the other thing I really loved, I've been talking for years about how you have to raise your vibration up to match the higher levels to see them. But I kind of like the image you gave, that there was something about you brought the vibration up like this so that you are in exact alignment in a sense, so you can see them exactly. And that's somehow really hit me in a new way.
Good, yeah. So
So
everybody is able, that's why, children are always in that higher sense and they see grandmother, they see
they
through
see
dimensional.
everything. Right, right.
Yeah, so if we stop taking that away from them, but show them how to discern, and how to utilize that ability. Yeah, it's
Sweet,
good.
sweet, sweet.
Mhm.
So much information, Celestine, and so much love that comes from you. It's just so profound to just be able to connect with you this way. So thank you so much. And again, guys, you can visit her at celestinestar.com or the other one, the Galactic Earth Council.
That's right.
And thank you for being a representative and being with us today. All right.
Thank you
We
so
will
much.
talk soon. All right. Oh my God, was that fascinating or was that fascinating, guys? I want to thank you for joining us. And again, if you're new to my tribe, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends and also visit me at joanofangels.com and also visit Celestine at her celestinestar.com and the Galactic Earth Council so you too can know your origins and start to really find out more of who you are this life. And so we're very, very appreciative of all of that. So we'll see you all next time. Thanks for stepping into the miraculous.